Hey everybody, this is Captain Yeet here for you for another Kagurabachi Manga chapter review. This is going to be Kagurabachi Manga chapter 43 titled Fulfill. So let's get into it. So this chapter starts off right where we left off, with Jihito went back into the storehouse to save all those other slaves that were still trapped inside of there, and he needs to hurry because the storehouse is starting to crumble away because his dad, well not his dad, Haku's dad, he's dying. He's trying to get mind controlled by the owner of the Sunichi, and he has like a huge gas on his chest, so he's just barely holding on. So if he dies, the storehouse is going to disappear. That means all the slaves are going to disappear, and Shahida. So he needs to pick up the pace. Now we do see a few panels where he's jumping from block to block because it was like a big field with like yeah, it was like a big like land field before, but now that Haku's dad is dying, all the land field is like crumbling apart. So now it's just like a ton of debris floating in space. So he's like hopping from each debris piece to grab somebody and give them a little bit of his spirit energy so Hakuri can teleport him out. And Tasabi's like, okay, he don't need to hurry up. But how many more slaves is left in there? And Hakuri says 26. That's kind of wild. I only thought it was like maybe 5 or 10. There's 26 people left. But Yahito, I mean, if you look at the panels, I'm not gonna show it. I don't want to get in trouble. If you look at the panels, he's moving. Homeboy is moving, zipping around, like touch, going to each person. So he should be able to do it, but he needs to hurry because, like I said, Haku's dad doesn't look like he has too much longer left. Right after that, we get like a wide shot of the auction room. And remember last chapter, a big old like black ring appeared underneath Haku's dad, and it started to spread out all over the auction room. Anytime that it touches somebody else, a bunch of flowers and stuff will pop up on that body and will die. And we see the black spot has gotten bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's killing a lot of people. Some people are getting freaked out and obviously running away. Some people are actually crazy enough to want to stay to try to bit to try to bet on the Sonichi. They're crazy. You see, I mean, I'm at an auction and I see a bunch of black goo touching people and they're dying, like getting flowers like popping out their eyes and stuff. Oh man, I'm gone. I don't know why some people would even want to stay. Even the two Kamabari members, remember the two guys I said that looked like Kevin and Gwen from Ben 10? Well, not exactly look like them, but I just said like dynamic. They're trying to leave too because, like I said, a bunch of people are dying. Eventually, we cut back over to Haku's dad, and since he's on the brink of death, he's having a hallucination, and he's also remembering some old memories. And we get to see his wife. Now we get to see her speak, but we don't actually get to see her. We see him in a hospital room, and she's in a hospital for some reason. We don't know why. I'm guessing she was just ill for whatever reason. And she specifically says, I want to read this word from word. She goes, um, you're so brainwashed about all of this sacred tradition stuff. This whole time I've been miserable, so now I might. Oh, sorry, I read that backwards. This whole time I've been miserable, so now I might as well be honest. You're so brainwashed about all this sacred tradition stuff. They wouldn't have made me marry you if not for the Rakaziki, or that's the oxen. And if the Rakaziki never took place, then you might not have become such a bad person. And he starts to think to himself, Hakuri, Dad, why am I remembering this? Why am I remembering this kind of stuff right now? And the way she said that, I was like, part of me was like, okay, maybe it was like a fourth marriage because the Rakazikis and everything are like a high in the underworld and somebody married her off for money, whatever. But when she specifically said, if it wasn't for the oxen, I wouldn't have married you, was he like an auction piece and he bought her and married her? That's what I'm guessing. I'm guessing he did that because he liked her or whatever. And like she said, I guess back in the day before he took over the Samisi clan, he wasn't all that bad of a guy. Because right now he's pretty jacked up, pretty messed up, killing his sons just not for the fun of it, but just so he can keep the auction going, which is still pretty wild. Like, I guess back in the day, he wasn't that bad, but after so many years of doing this, he just become warped. And then we cut back into him saying, why do I remember this kind of stuff? And then he pictures a scenario where he was like a normal family man. He was at the table with all of his sons, Hakari and all his brothers and his wife. We still don't get to see her face. And I don't know why. I'm guessing, I don't know. I was going to say maybe we know her, but wouldn't that be more impactful to show her? Unless she's gonna be some big character later on, and we'll see her face later. So I don't know. Well, based on her in the hospital room and stuff, and I think he even says that he says his late wife, so she died, or maybe she did something, and we'll find out. I don't know, but we don't get to see her face. But he pictures himself as a regular family man at the table eating dinner as like a normal family. I thought that scene was like really sweet, and it started to make me think of Endeavor. 'Cause remember, he wasn't that bad of a guy back in the day. And since he wanted to beat All Might so bad, he became warped and became pretty bad and kind of messed up his family. Well, not kind of, he did really mess up his family. And I remember, I think it was last season. I know in season five it happened. I think last season too. He pictured himself in like a normal family setting. And he also said he had a nightmare of them having like a normal family setting, but without him, because he's the cause of all their problems. So I thought that was a. Obviously, I don't know if he like did that just because of Endeavor, but I think that just made me think of Endeavor. Just saying that. So eventually, he's able to muster the strength, Hakure's dad, to get up and slam the gavel on the table. And as soon as he does that, the nice picturesque like family man that he wanted to be, that whole picture just shatters. And I love that panel right here. So it shatters and he gets up and he goes, I read it word from word so I don't mess it up. He goes, I won't let it in. I will kill any worm who dares to interfere. It's a beautiful panel of him like mustering up the strength to get up and coughing up blood, and his mask, like little mask piece, is just breaking. So when he gets up, Mr. Sabi and Kame are just looking at him like, what? How is he standing? Like he was on the brink of death, could barely move, and he just jumped up and just started spazzing. And then Mr. Sabi just looking at him, looking at Hakuri still holding on, because doing the whole storehouse teleportation stuff, it's like draining him. Like every chapter, he's coughing up more and more blood, so it's really hurting his body. So he just think about Chihito inside of the storehouse, almost gonna die because Hakuri's dad is gonna die. He's looking at Hakuri's dad standing up with a huge hole in his chest and bleeding out, and Hakuri still moving. He goes, "All of these guys are crazy. Oh, they still going? like, like, what is going on?" So Hakuri dad stands up and says, "Now I'll pay any price to whoever kills them." And then a ton of people start to bum rush of Hakuri, but Flame Bone Girl and Mrs. Sabi obviously protect him. That he has to like stay still so he can teleport all the slaves out and teleport Chihiro out when the time comes. So we don't get to actually see them fight off a ton of people. Probably when this gets animated, they'll extend it out to see them do some combo moves or something, which would have been really cool. But we just see like an explosion off in the distance, and they're just telling Hakuri just to stay still. They got him. Don't you worry. Just stay focused on teleporting the slaves out and getting Chihiro out as well. We cut back over to Chihiro, and we get a few panels of cutting over to Chihiro. They cut over to Hakuri. They cut over to Hakuri's dad, and Chihito's like just running all over the place, getting every slave. Eventually, there's only one slave left. Hakure's dad falls to the ground, and Chihito's trying to touch him. And then we see all the slaves outside teleported. And the slave's like, "Okay, where's Chihito?" And he get teleported out too, so don't you worry. Everything's on Ghidorah. He's fine. He gets teleported out, and he's sitting right next to Hakure's dad. And Hakure's dad starts to think about what his wife said. He also starts to think about what Chihiro said at the beginning of their fight, how if you wanted to actually do your best, you would have actually believed in Hakure. He thinks about, oh wow, I didn't even notice what this panel was. I thought that was just him thinking about the brothers beating up Hakure just because he was weaker. He is thinking about that, but in this panel, I didn't even notice that. We actually see him in the window looking at him getting beat up, and he's just looking and just keeping moving like he didn't even care. I did not notice that till I just looked at the panel. My goodness. But we see that, and then we also see Hakuri crying, looking at his dad finna die. And he goes, Chihiro, you were right. I am the only one who failed to fulfill my duty. And he willingly puts the sword down. Chihiro was really surprised because he was actually able to fend off him being mind controlled from the original owner. And the very last panel of this chapter is Hakure's dad just on the ground, dead, and a bunch of flowers popping up all over him. End the chapter. This is a beautiful scene. So after this, I don't know. I mean, realistically, obviously it's good. auction is over. I doubt they're ever gonna have another one now with the owner dead, and he never passed on the owner because remember he never did the whole sacred that sacred treasure what's it called the ceremony to pass on the storehouse to somebody else, so it dies with him. That's number one. Number two, he's dead. So the Samasi clan, I guess it's not disbanded. There's still gonna be Samasi members all around, but it's not really gonna be a big organization like it used to be. Um, I was saying last chapter that the owner of the Samasi clan, like the very first member, he had the ability to do the shock waves and create his own storehouse. No one else had that ability since then. Well, two abilities since then. Hagrid does. So I was thinking maybe he becomes the new leader and makes it like a good organization instead of a bad one that does black market stuff. And then maybe when the time comes, like way in the future, whenever Chihito needs like a lot of manpower for whatever reason, Hagrid's like, "Hey, I got plenty of boys for you." I'm thinking that's what I'm thinking. If not, then well, obviously Chihito just has to run over, grab the Sunichi, run over to Mississippi, teleport out of there, and then drive off and then try to figure out where the leader is of that. I forgot the clan's name. Well, not the clan, but the group that killed Chihito's dad. I forget the name, but try to find him. Because that's like that was the whole point. And then we just started going to this Samasi clan stuff. But the original thing was get the swords back and take those guys down so it kills Chihito's dad. It might not be that easy because Flamebone still, she said last chapter she wanted to still kill Jahito even after all of this is done. Maybe she might have a change of heart. Who knows? Maybe the sumo guy will because he's been kind of Team Jahito for a while. The sumo wrestler guy. Well, he's not a wrestler, but he makes that dojo, the wrestling ring. Maybe he might tap her in there and do whatever so he can get away. And then now we just gotta find the other swords and the other the other swords and the people. And like I said, it probably won't be that easy, but that's what has to happen now because we just gotta get out of there. But it probably won't be that easy because the Flamebone girl is there and maybe somebody else could show up. But everybody is pretty much spent. Everybody is pretty much spent. And I don't know if not Shahito, if Hakuri's brothers died. We know that one brother died for sure because he like blew up. But the one that used to like beat him up all the time, Sora, we don't know if he's dead. He did get cut pretty bad on his back, but we don't know if he's confirmed dead. He just passed out. That's number one. Number two, Hakuri was fighting. Not Hakuri. Mr. Sabi was fighting the other three toe members, and he came here. So that means he beat them. Did he kill them? I don't know if he killed them or not, but we know at least he beat them because obviously they weren't gonna let him get away. So he beat them then, and that's about it for right now. Unless something, crazy happens next chapter, that's it. So that's the chapter for you guys today. So like, share, and subscribe. I'll see you all later. Thank you all for watching. I think all of them have been one human beings, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye. All right.